All right, let's dive into one of the most dynamic and honestly powerful figures in the entire tarot deck, the King of Wands. He's a master of fire, a symbol of vision and leadership. But like any fire, his energy can either light the way or it can burn everything to the ground. So let's get into the dual nature of this incredible king. This phrase, it perfectly captures the spirit of the King of Wands. He doesn't follow the crowd, he makes the path. He's the freethinker, the innovator, the one who is absolutely not afraid to stand out and just take control of his own destiny. This is the core energy we're going to be exploring today. So here's our game plan for this deep dive. First, we'll meet the king as an archetype. Then we'll look at his two sides, the visionary leader when he's upright and his shadow self when he's reversed. After that, we'll check out what he means in your life and finally, how you can harness his powerful energy for yourself. Okay, first up, let's really get to know this character. The King of Wands isn't just some piece of cardboard. He's the ultimate personification of that fiery, creative energy. He's the seasoned leader who's mastered his passions and knows exactly how to turn a bold vision into a reality. So when this king shows up in a reading, it's basically saying you've got the energy, the experience, and the enthusiasm to get done whatever you set out to do. He's a mature, masculine energy, and he's often linked with the fire signs of the zodiac. Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. Think pure confidence, strength, and a seriously powerful drive. I mean, he's just the embodiment of positive, forward-moving energy. He's energetic, optimistic, and totally fearless. The kind of person who just motivates everyone around them. As a natural leader, he's got charm, he's great with words, and he is passionately, fiercely protective of what and who he loves. So what does this actually look like when the king is in his prime? Well, when this card appears upright in a reading, it's a huge sign that his positive, fiery energy is flowing freely and constructively right through your life. Now, in your career, this is a fantastic card to pull. It suggests you're stepping up into a leadership role, or maybe you've got the Midas touch with a business venture. You're not just acting on impulse here. You have the experience and the wisdom to know exactly when and how to make your big move. And in relationships, the King of Wands is a warm, loyal, and incredibly passionate partner. But, and this is a big but, he really values his freedom, and he's attracted to partners who are just as strong and independent as he is. Any kind of neediness or clinginess, that's going to put his fire right out. Mutual respect for space is absolutely key. And this awesome energy doesn't just stop at work or love. It spills over into everything. The upright king brings vitality and great health. Financially, his innovative and enterprising nature pretty much leads to success. And spiritually, seeing him means you're making real progress on your path. And it's a reminder to enjoy the journey itself. But every fire casts a shadow, right? So now we have to look at the other side of this powerful king. What happens when his energy gets blocked or misused or just burns completely out of control? This is where the visionary can literally become a tyrant. And the contrast is, it is stark. The confident leader becomes an arrogant tyrant. The passionate man becomes dangerously impulsive. And that dependable rock, he becomes utterly unreliable. It's the exact same fiery energy, it's just being channeled in a destructive way instead of a creative one. In its most extreme negative form, the reverse King of Wands is just a bully. He uses his power and his charisma to dominate and control everyone. This is the boss who rules by fear, or the partner who's aggressive and forceful. It's a major, major warning sign of power being seriously abused. But here's the thing, there's another side to his shadow. It's not always about being a tyrant. Sometimes the fire just goes out completely. This is the king who is powerless, weak, and ineffective. He doesn't have the energy to follow through, he breaks his promises, and he just takes a passive back seat in his own life. He's afraid to be different, so he gives his power away. Okay, I know that was a lot to take in, so let's boil all of this down into a really practical guide. How does this king actually show up in different areas of your life, in both his light and his shadow forms? Think of this as your quick reference guide, your cheat sheet. Generally, upright is all about taking control and leading the way. Reversed, it's either giving up control or taking way too much. In love, he's that passionate protector, but reversed, he can be abusive or totally commitment phobic. And in your career, he's either that visionary leader
Or he's a passive, unfocused employee, or worse, a domineering bully.
So, after exploring his brilliant light and his pretty deep shadow, what's the ultimate lesson of the King of Wands? It really all comes down to balance. It's about learning to wield your own inner fire with wisdom and with integrity.
So how do we actually do that? How do we find that balance? Well, first, embrace that confident, action-oriented spirit. Go for it. Second, lead by inspiring people, not by forcing them to follow you. Third, and this is crucial, recognize the difference between action and burnout. Know when to rest. And finally, value your own freedom and make sure you grant that same respect to others.
You know, this quote just hits the nail on the head. The King of Wands, at his absolute best, earns his authority. He doesn't demand it. His power comes from inspiration and respect, not from fear and control. That right there is the fundamental difference between the king and the tyrant. So the final takeaway is really a question for you to reflect on. Take a look at the energy, the passion, the ambition in your own life. Are you using it as a beacon to light the way for yourself and for others? Or is it an uncontrolled wildfire, burning you and those around you? The King of Wands teaches us that the choice, well, that's always yours.